Well, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Hopefully as you're watching this the day after Christmas, you're well rested, you energized from spending time with friends and family. If you came to church yesterday morning, I hope you had a blessed time. Even if you came on Christmas Eve. I know candlelight services, I always loved candlelight services when I was an adult. Not as a kid, I would fall asleep. But my parents loved them, and I never got it until I was older. And as I've been an adult and gone to candlelight services, I've really come to enjoy those. I guess maybe it comes with maturity, and it's an acquired taste of maturity. But whether you went to church or not, or you just spent time with family, I hope it was a blessed time, and that this Christmas season has been a one of memory and growth and breakthrough. As we're now less than a week away from the end of the year, as we're going to get ready to close the book on 2022 and open up 2023. I wonder if you're looking back at the year that I've looked back on and seen everything that God has done, all the breakthrough that has happened, all the things that you didn't see coming in God doing this year. I know we've had plenty of those this year, that this next year, you on the other side of the camera are going to see some of what God has been doing in this year that is just going to point right to His amazing mercy and grace and plan. Scripture says that His ways are higher than ours, and that we don't always understand what He's doing, but is for our good and the purpose of building us and maturing us and growing us. And He wants to abundantly bless us. And so as we get ready to turn to next year, I want to take one last look at this Christmas season. One last look at some of these festive things that we do with Christmas, specifically Christmas carols. This year we had here at South Tacoma, we had a theme for our Christmas season. That was Silver Bells. Now I remember singing as a little kid, our Christmas concerts at school or at church, singing the song Silver Bells. I'm not going to sing it because I'm tone deaf. Those that know that I can't really sing, know that I'm not musical. I've shared this before. I took years of drum lessons and can't keep a beat. That tells you all you need to know. So the song Silver Bells, I loved singing that. I loved the pictures of the hustle and bustle on the sidewalks and the silver bells. Every time I walk by one of those Salvation Army bell ringers, I think of the song Silver Bells. But God kind of showed me something just the other day. Actually, it was at church, I think 2 weeks ago, where we were singing the song, talking about, I think it was Break Every Chain we were singing. And as we're singing the song Break Every Chain, God kind of showed me something. And that was, in the Spirit, I could hear the sound of chains falling off. Not just falling off, but crumbling. And those chains hitting the ground. And in the Spirit, God told me, the sound of chains falling off and hitting the ground are more beautiful to me than any bell that you can ring. There's It's a Wonderful Life, where every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Well, every time chains fall off, Jesus gets a smile. When He hears those chains fall, nothing brings Him more joy. And especially at this, as we're coming out of Christmas is yesterday, I don't think there's a greater gift that we can give back to God than allowing our chains to be broken off by Him. There is no greater sound to His ears than the sound of those bondages, those chains breaking. And of course, with God, that sound of chain doesn't end there, because He sweeps it away. Scripture tells us that He removes our sin as far as the east is from the west. And if we'll allow Him to, He will remove our bondages, our burdens, our brokenness as far as the east is from the west. He'll sweep them out of our life. And imagine the sound of those burdens, those things we've been carrying, those heavy chains of past hurt, of regret, of depression, of addiction, of resentment, and whatever it is, imagine the sound of those falling off, not just to your ears, but to God's ears, as they're then swept as far as away as the east is from the west. This is what God has for us. But the thing is that as beautiful and wonderful as that is, there is requirement on your part and my part in order to hear that amazing, beautiful sound of chains hitting the ground. And that is this. If we go to Matthew 7, verses 7 through 12, I'm going to read this from the Christian Standard Version. It says this. You've probably heard this. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks will find. The one who knocks, that door will be opened. Who among you, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you, who are evil, would not do this, and give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give the good things when you ask? See, to hear this, to have this breakthrough that God has for us, it is an expectation for us to, one, first, become like a child in our faith. Look back at Christmas movies or even your own Christmas memories to when you'd come down on Christmas morning, or you'd come to your parents and you would just have the expectation that they're going to care for you, that they love you. You see these movies where these kids jump into their parents' arms. And now that may not be your story, but that most likely is your desire to have that connection. Why? Because God is a good, loving Father who wants you to be an innocent child in His presence. We're told that if we don't become like children, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because it takes a childlike faith. A faith that says, all that other adult stuff out there, all that stuff that the world throws at us, doesn't matter. Just like Peter walking on the water to Jesus, Jesus qualifies him and says, come to me. And it's only when Peter starts looking at the things outside of God that he starts to sink. So we need to become, we talked last week about expectation. We need to come with the expectation that God is a good God, that He is a loving Father, and have that expectation that we need to become like that child, innocent in our faith. Second, we need to ask for big things. This goes back to that expectation. We need to be able to ask God for the breakthrough that we're looking for. We need to ask God for what we truly desire, not second best, not halfway, because God doesn't do anything halfway. He does it big. So we need to ask big things. We need to ask for big dreams. We need to ask for big breakthrough. And in doing so, we need to seek the way we do that. We need to seek God's will and God's purpose in how we do that. We need to seek His ways because His ways are higher than our ways. We need to seek the path that we need to walk down to find the healing. We can't circumvent the path. This isn't Mario Brothers with a skip, a warp tube to take us from one level to another level. We have to go through the levels. We have to go through the experience. We need to seek the path that God has for us. And that leads to, we need to knock. We need to look for opportunities and doors to knock on. Everything happens in relationship. Our healing and breakthrough being one of those. So we need to be, when relationships come our way, we need to be knocking on those doors of relationship with expectation that if it's the right door, God's going to open that door and bring healing through that. If it's a job, looking for the right opportunities. If we have a financial need, we need to be looking for the door to knock on to find that financial need. asking God for big provision, seeking Him, and knocking on the opportunities that we're given. See, there is expectation that we're going to do our part in healing. God can do it. God will do it if we do our part. He wants to do this in partnership with us. He gives us free will. So we need to be doing our part, knocking on the doors, walking the path, and doing the hard work inside on this journey. Looking at, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Are my beliefs in the right place here? Knocking on the doors of our own heart to say, am I in accordance with God? Am I in accordance with who He says I am? So as we get ready to step into this new year here in a few days, let me encourage you to ask God for your big breakthrough, to seek Him for the way it needs to happen, to knock on the doors that He's providing for you and believing that He will open the doors for you. Now, with that said, if you've ever gone and knocked on doors like on Halloween, or if you worked as like a leaf letter, you know that not every door is going to be open. And sometimes the door gets open and gets slammed in your face. Go with the expectation that that's going to happen. But that does not define you. It does not define what God is doing in your life. It's just merely closing a door to an opportunity that wasn't meant for you. So don't take those doors closing as a indication of who you are, who God created you to be. It's just God directing you where you need to go. So as we get ready to celebrate 2022 closing and 2023, ask, seek, and knock in 2023. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and may 2023 be the best year so far.